We went ahead to close the customer then for about 9 million naira. I was given a marketing budget of 3 to 4 million naira every month to run marketing campaigns for. And I was like, oh my God, I hope I bring good returns. So if you're trying to work with the startups in back in Nigeria and you expect to maybe have a structured way of working, that's not going to work. So one of the biggest things I always look out for is just one, is I can be able to successfully reduce the acquisition cost of the customer.
That second option looks like the Elon Musk model.
Yeah.
How do you know this doesn't work?
What I then started to do was I started reading more around marketing. I was using platforms then, Coursera's, Udemy's, most of these online platforms to go and learn stuff around marketing analytics, churn analytics, acquisition, marketing strategy. So I had to start learning all of these things.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm good. And how you doing?
Good.
It's quite interesting. When I saw your message, because funny story, right? And this is not trying to gaslight or anything. A couple of years back, I think about 2, 3 years back, when I first heard about the global talent visa, your YouTube videos was one of the
Wow.
ones I was going to.
Oh,
Interestingly, it was one of the ones I watched. I think I watched one where you had an interview with a lady who worked with Microsoft or something. I'm not sure now. Um, I think I know you had one with one lady. That was one of the ones I watched that time. Right. So it was quite exciting when I just saw myself like, oh my God, I know this guy's
guys.
YouTube. I used to watch it. We're glad to be here as well.
Yeah, that's good. Happy for your journey. The progression has been up to the point. So, okay, let's get it rolling. Right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking this video. If you're a new subscriber, please can you just hit the red subscribe button and let's get into the video. So, we are continuing on our tech series where we bring in seasoned tech professionals that are killing the game in their respective fields just to kind of get us educated, understand the challenges, the process of maybe getting to tech progression and so many other things. So today we have OluwaBunmi Balogun, who is a global growth and product marketing leader, a startup leader, and a UK Global Talent Visa awardee. My brother, welcome to the channel.
Thank you for having me as well. I'm very, very excited to be here and look forward to sharing my journey with everyone on this channel.
Good, good, good. So how are you today?
I'm good. It's quite sunny, so
Yeah.
I'm happy the summer season. Um, taking a back of it, right, until the winter comes in. So yeah, I'm pretty much good.
Good. So, yeah, like I said, this series is just to kind of enlighten people, to give people direction, give people a perspective into maybe who you are as a person, kind of your career progression, so that maybe anybody that wants to be like you can learn and understand what it all takes. So yeah, just look at it from that angle. So let's get it rolling. So who is Balogun in the first place?
All right. Who am I? I don't know if
Yeah.
that's a question I always have the same answer to. I feel like that question changes every time somebody asks me. But one thing that I'll say has been consistent with all my answers is I'm a very curious person.
Okay.
I'm also a very huge lover of maths. I'm a maths person and I'm a curious person. So curious in the sense of I like to know how things work. I like to know how things are the way they are, right? So most times be dabbling in a million and one things just to understand those things or understand that particular niche, right? So yes, I consider myself a curious person, and it's quite interesting. Yeah, we're in the techs. It's a tech series. We're talking about technology, but my curiosity has led me both within and out of technology. I've gone as far as working with primary schools, secondary schools back in Nigeria, where I went to even all the way to nursery. I was teaching like preschoolers And the essence of wanting to do that was, I know one day, right, it's going to get to the point where I'll have my own kids. I just wanted to have that experience. What did it look like being around kids, little
Yeah.
children? So yes, that curiosity has gotten me there. Curiosity has even led me to go and work with a furniture company at
Okay.
some point in my career. Curiosity has led me to go and train with somebody that used to make shoes.
Mm.
So I could learn how to make shoes, right? So that's how my mind always works. When I'm fascinated about something, I always try to know about it. So yes, that's me. Curious maths person.
Okay, that's nice. Kind of exploring, trying different things at the same time just to understand who you are as a person. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's good. So, looking at your profile, one will see something like a global growth and a marketing talent. So, what does this role entail? So what does it mean for maybe someone that has never heard of this before?
So I'll circle back to how I got into the marketing space. Fresh out of school, I used to work with, so during my final year, I trained with Microsoft,
Hmm.
where I trained as a data analyst at Microsoft. So my initial career path while I was in university was supposed to be, that's during my final year, was to be like a data analytics person or a data analyst guy. But even before the data analysis, I studied applied physics from the University of Lagos. So I wanted to use my applied physics knowledge to work with the telcos, the MTNs, the Airtels, and the Glos and Co.
Hmm.
But like I said, during my final year, I got the opportunity, thanks to the couple of friends I had, I got the opportunity to get training, about 6 months training on data with Microsoft, data analytics and machine learning. So fresh out of school, I got an NYC job where I was a data engineer with a software development company back in Lagos.
Hmm.
So that was supposedly supposed to be my career path, data analytics. But at some point, the company I was working with then had like a marketing team, a digital marketing agency.
Hmm.
And I was feeling a bit bored in my role because, yes, there's a whole buzzword around data, data, data. But not many companies were really using the power of data to scale or to build their solutions. So a lot of times I was trying to be the one to come up with new solutions because there wasn't really much data for me to handle in the company. So during that whole curious period, I went to the marketing agency to see what they were doing and asked them if I could maybe analyze some of the data within their marketing team. I did that, saw some bit of patterns around what they do in terms of marketing. I used that pattern to predict some of the kind of customers you should be looking out for. I remember then that prediction helped us. We went ahead to close a customer then for about 9 million naira. This was as far back in 2019, 2020. We went about to close about 9 million, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, amazing! Bunmi helped us with this as well. This is the biggest deal in the marketing agency." So it just spiked my interest to go into marketing, and that's how I eventually went into the field of marketing. Now back to the question of what's international growth, and then all of that marketing. Companies today, um, both startups and even the large scale corporations today are looking at, would always want to grow, right? In layman terms, they would want to increase their revenue, they want to increase the number of customers. So it's simple. A growth person is that guy that comes up with initiatives, comes up with ideas, comes up with solutions that could help the company move from point A to point B. The
Hmm.
company's goal for point A to point B might just be users. They want to move from 10 users to 100 users. It's your job as a growth person to do it. The company's goal might be revenue. They want to move from 1 million to 10 million. It's your job to do it. The company's goal might be profit. The company's goal might be engagement. For instance, platforms that are focused around communities, their goal might be engagement. Want to move from X engagement level to 10X engagement level. So it's the job of the growth guy to really come up with those ideas around it. Now, international, the simple. Companies are also setting up business structures beyond their locality. I'm in Nigeria today. I can decide to say I want to set up a company in Portugal. I'm in the UK today. I can decide to say I want to set up a company in America. So that's international expansion. It's also your job as an international marketing guy. Think of ideas, strategies that can get you these customers beyond the locality. You understand that the buyer decision in localities will always vary. how Nigerians buy things or how Nigerians perceive solutions would be different from how the British perceive solutions. So it's your job to come up with these ideas to tailor the different international market that this solution will be getting into. So yes, in a nutshell, that's what the international growth and whole marketing thing is all about.
So you ended up working for a certain company and you were kind of employed as a data analyst. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
How did you now find the change process? Like, did you just move to marketing? At what point did you have that complete transition?
All right, so it was not an initial straight up move. Like I said, I partnered with them on that project where we got a new client. Um, Post the project, I went ahead and was promoted to head the data team. So as the head of data team, part of the project I was building them was to build, I had to use Power BI and Excel to build like a whole analytics dashboard for the company. So the analytics dashboard was going to show like reports on the different products the company was building. At the same time, it was going to show like reports to individual customers for these products. Right. So that's what I was doing as a data guy, building dashboard analytics, creating progressions. But while I was doing all of these things, right, again with the marketing team, I saw that yes, data has helped me come up with ideas on how we could get a new customer. I started implying that idea into the other products within the company. Data shows that yes, we have X amount of users, and these users like this specific thing. These are like some of the features or characteristics of the users of this solution, right? So, how do we target this type of people? What I then started to do was I started reading more around marketing. I was using platforms then, Coursera's, Udemy's, most of these online platforms to go and learn stuff around marketing analytics, churn analytics, um, acquisition, marketing strategy. So I had to start learning all of these things. So beyond just being the guy that uses data to predict, I started imputing my own feedback to the marketing team. Then on based on the learnings I started having, right? So it was through this learning. I was the head of data team for about 2 years, and then I had to resign. So upon resigning, I was lucky enough the next role I got was automatically in the marketing space, not even in the data anymore. So I just took the learnings I had, jumped on the next role as a marketing personnel, and that was how my journey became fully into marketing.
That was still in Lagos, right?
Yes, still in Lagos.
Okay. So you get into the next role that was a fully marketing. Probably you are in a field that you practically like and you love working on that. So how was that second role like? At what point did you kind of start working with maybe small startups?
Right. So interestingly, the second role was a startup.
Oh yeah.
Right. It was straight up a startup. And it was quite interesting. One, I was the only person in marketing. That was the funny thing. So I didn't have like a whole marketing team to also say, okay, let's still work together. I was the only person. And at this time, the marketing was now even beyond just using data to do any prediction. I was the one in charge of the social media marketing. I was the one in charge of creating the content for the company. I was the one in charge of running ads. First time ever, I would have to get in contact or get to do anything ads. And because it was a startup, right, the company didn't have that much money to say, yes, let's employ different people with their different skill set. The company just said, hey, Bunmi, you're a data guy, you do predictions, but we want more than that. And we're a small company because of the relationship. Hey, just come in, just come and do this thing for us. So a lot of my learnings with that startup was on the job, very, very much on the job. It was even on the job I had to also become a graphic designer.
Wow.
Interestingly, because again, I have to come up with content. And sometimes, yes, there was a designer in the team, but it takes forever for this designer sometimes to come up with the designs. Or even when he does, my ideas are not properly portrayed in the design. So I have to quickly go and learn how to use Canva by myself. So I could quickly do something, show him, and then when I do it, he then uses that image himself to translate into something much more better and much more good. So it was my next role was in the startup space, very much hands-on on the job. I had to learn more. It was even in that role I got exposed to community-based approach when it comes to acquisition. because we scaled the community of that particular company to about 13,000 people.
Mm.
13,000 people were, by the time I left, we had about 13,000 people within the community. And that was its major way, it was acquiring users. So it was bringing people into the community. The community serves as a resource center. And then while you're sharing these free resources to the founders within the community, you're then upselling your own service as well for those founders that are then interested in paying for the service of the company. So I learned about community-based marketing on the job. Um, and God bless the founders of this company. So today we're still very good friends because they also were very much open to me learning on the job. They didn't say, no, we need somebody with an expert level knowledge. They didn't hold me for my mistakes because they
Mm.
understood where I was coming from and the type of background I was coming from. And they allowed me properly learn. I think I also did that job for about a year and 6 months. The only reason I left was because the company when I joined was 100% remote, right? But as at a year plus 6 months, the company had then raised money, big money from investors, and at that point, the company was like, "Everybody, we need you in the office. Let's come to the office. Let's start working now. We have money." And I was already becoming so lazy. I don't want to say lazy, but too used to the work from home culture. And unfortunately, the space that the office picked was on the island of Lagos. I was on the mainland. So having to commute that on a daily basis, the whole
Yeah.
third mainland bridge was not something I felt I needed to do at that point. So that was just why I had to leave the company. But it was the best moving from a standard corporate organization with structure to a startup. I think that was one of the best things because even at that point, it also opened my mind to entrepreneurship as well. That was where I saw myself going into building my own things later on down my career path. That was where I also saw firsthand because, again, the founders were very, very much open, free people. They let
Mm.
us know how everything was going. If they are speaking to an investor, they let us go in that meeting to see how things are going. If they are speaking to customers, they let us go. So we had the opportunity to see every arm of the business both from the founder's perspective as well as from the employee's perspective. So in the end, you could go ahead to build your own thing and you know how companies operate. So yes, my next role was in a startup and that was how I learned on the job before
What
moving.
what what was that startup?
So the name of the company is called Side Brief.
Side brief. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a reg tech company. That's the name of with the founders Eunice and Usman and the other third guy and I've forgotten his name.
So when you pull out from that company, were you running freelance?
No, so when I left Side Brief, I went to another company. A fintech. Yeah, I moved to a fintech. The fintech was called Lendigo. So it was owned by Portuguese in
Okay.
Lagos. Right?
Okay.
The parent company is a Portuguese company backed by Stars, one of the biggest accelerators in the world today. So yeah, the ones backing the company. So we had two companies within the one parent. We had Lendigo and then we have Quick Check. These are very big, famous loan companies back in Nigeria. So Lendigo, where I worked, was giving loans to small and medium businesses. While Quick Check, the sister company, was giving loans to um, individuals, right? So the next company I moved was a properly structured company. Lendigo, when I joined, was almost around 5 or 6 years old. Um, I think that's even another success story that I still look forward to today because yes, I worked with two other firms. Now, Cybrief, the other company I worked with, the other one where I went to head of data science and all of that, I didn't really have the opportunity to handle huge marketing budgets. So startup, not much in terms of marketing. We're only doing small marketing here and there. The other guys, I was the data guy, so I wasn't the one in charge of marketing, so I didn't handle marketing budgets. Um, Now, in between all of this, I was doing other things, right? So this was in between all of these jobs. I went to try out the school thing. I went to try out the shoemaking thing and all
Mm.
of that in this guy. So the Lendigo was where I had like a huge budget. Then I think where I was given a marketing budget of 3 to 4 million every month to run marketing campaigns for. And I was like, oh my God, I hope I bring good returns because if the company is in their calculations, they spend 3 million and bro, at the end of the month, nothing is coming in from marketing. The users are not growing and all of that. It becomes crazy. But yeah, it was one of the best.
Okay.
move in my career as well.
Right. At a certain point in your career, you started working with few startups. I don't know if I'm correct. If I'm not correct, you can correct me on that. Yeah, in Nigeria. So if that is true, what are like some of the key differences and maybe similarities you've encountered working with these startups?
All right. Yeah. So I've worked with some. I've built some. Some of the similarities. The startup space is very energetic, right? Energetic and spontaneous. So if you're trying to work with the startups in back in Nigeria and you expect to maybe have a structured way of working, that's not going to work. The startup sector is not structured at all. So a lot
Mm.
of things will happen. You would have to switch on different business model. In fact, the last business I left before moving to the UK, that was my own startup I was building with someone. We switched business models like 3 or 4 times.
What was
Uh,
that? Is it
that's
the
Pocketfood. Pocketfood.
Pocketfood? Yeah, that is how I got to know you.
Yeah, so we switched business model like 3 or 4 times. There's a company, that company, I don't put it on my LinkedIn, but it's a company that is doing well today. It's one of the startups I also was a part of building. It's called Wallex, WALLX. I still have very good relationship with the partners and the founders today. I still have my equity with the company.
Mm.
They've expanded from Nigeria into the US and into Canada as well. Wallex is a fintech solution. So yes, the market is very spontaneous. You can't expect to have like a structured way of doing things. That's one thing. Then another thing I've also seen is the founder perspective is different. And this is like a feedback to founders in the startup space. I've seen receptive founders. I've seen founders that are warm. They understand that they are building a small company, a startup, and they also warm to the employers within the organization. And I've seen those founders that also are like, it's a startup. If you're not killing it, you're not ready to work with us. I don't sleep in the night, so you too, you should not be sleeping in the night. It shouldn't be that way, right? They're your they're employees. They might not have the level of passion that you have. Doesn't mean you kill them for it. As long as they are doing the job and they are
Sorry,
doing their job.
sorry, let me cut you. That second option looks like the Elon Musk model.
Uh,
How do you know this doesn't work? Yeah, Elon Musk sleeps in his office and he wants you to come in and discover that, okay, I slept here and I'm working. So I want to see how you guys are working. Okay, yeah, continue. But
exactly.
you
So
have to
yes,
explain why you
I've
believe
seen
that model is not the best.
yeah, I've seen founders like that. I've even had the experience. There's some. I'm not even coming from the perspective of an employee, right? I'm coming from the perspective of, hey, Bunmi, I'm trying to build something. Come and build with me.
Mm.
And within the first 2 weeks of me just joining, I already see that kind of behavior, and I'm like, hello, no, no, no. You're
What
telling me,
is it?
Bunmi, this idea. I'm so passionate. I've been doing this midnight, no night. You're calling me at 11 p.m., 12 p.m. Bunmi, why are you sleeping? You're my partner. Bro, calm down. This is, yes, it's a startup life, but it doesn't mean there's no probability that if you carry out that model, you turn out successful.
Yeah.
So why don't you ease out a bit, right? So yes, that's also something I've seen with a couple, even in the UK here. Interestingly, I just even decided to let go of my commitment to someone that I'm less than 3 months in the UK, but someone reached out to me, let's partner, and within the short few weeks, bro is already okay. You're already firing people here and there, up and down, just because of they are not answering you by 9 p.m. or they are not responding to you by 10 p.m. You're angry and you're
Yeah.
firing somebody. Come on.
They
So I
should be.
just had to say no, 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 no. I've seen this back home in Africa. I don't think I want to see this here again in the UK. So yes, those are some of the things I've seen. But in the end, if you stay true to it, it's rewarding, to be honest. I would say my career has been I've gotten some of the best moments in my career only through those entrepreneurship moments. So entrepreneurship moments in the sense of through those moments where I've worked with startups. Those are the moments I've gotten some of the best career experience. I've had the opportunity to travel to countries like Morocco, we are Jitex Dubai, here in the UK, the Global Talent Visa, speaking at large events with over 1,000 plus people like the Lagos Tech Conference, Lagos Tech Fest, all of these events or all of these big moments in my career only came because at some point I was doing something with a startup or was building something with somebody, right? It's not those career paths that I had to sit on a 9 to 5 and go back home that gave me some of the biggest moments in my career. So in all, I would say it's rewarding, even if the rewarding financially might not be there at the beginning, but other parts of life, right, it's rewarding. Even while I'm here now in the UK, I'm like doing a 9 to 5, and my wife was already telling me, hey, you're slowly going into the confine of just being comfortable of the 9 to 5 and be paying your bills. Remember, you came from Africa where you're trying to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
impacts, you're trying to touch
Yeah,
lives.
I will come to that. I will come to that.
We think that,
Uh,
yes.
I'll come to that. Pocketfood, is that the most successful startup you've worked with?
Um, it varies, depending on how we want to define success.
Mm.
Is it the most successful one I have built? Yes. But is it the most successful one I've worked with? No.
Okay.
I have other ones that are doing way more. For instance, like I said, Wolex is doing way more than Pocketfood today. There are 3 different countries have way more users. SideBrief today is large. 2-3 years ago, about 13,000 people in their community. I'm sure it's way more than that now. Doing big numbers as well. But in terms of the ones I've built a marketing agency before. I built like an e-commerce platform before. Then Pocketfood, I'd say it's the biggest that I've built so far. So yeah.
Okay. Why do startup fails? What can you point out? Like maybe you happen to work with a particular startup. What are the those kind of little loopholes that you see from the beginner? You'll be like, no, these guys they are not going far, definitely.
So the biggest problem, interestingly, that I've found is operations. That's the biggest problem I believe startups have. It's not having money. It's not customers. It's your operations. You have 1 or 2 customers. How are you managing them? How are you handling the operations of these customers? Are they happy still using your services? You have 1,000 customers. Are these customers still happy still using your services? Right? So operations around the whole startup space, it's not easy. And I'm also speaking from the perspective of someone who has at some point been a chief operations officer. It's not easy. So yes, operations, if you're going into the startup space, ensure that whatever you want to build, you've been able to properly map how your operations will look like from start to finish, both from the point where you have your lowest level of customers, 1, 2 customers, even up to the point where you start hitting 1,000 customers. Let there be no difference in your service. If your service is top-notch at 10 customers, your service should still be top-notch at 100 customers. Otherwise, you're going to lose these people at the end of the day and your business will crumble. Operations, first one. Second one is team. Have the right people with the right mindset and energy that's building with you. And then third one is, again, finances, right? Because you can only keep building for a long time. If the money is not really coming in, you have bills to pay. People will just have to close up shop because the money is not paying the bills and they just have to move on, right? But yes, this would be like my top 3 reasons for failures in startups.
Okay, as a growth marketer, at what point do you, maybe based on some of the companies you have worked with, at what point do you feel like, wow, I really saved these guys, or I really helped them upscale, I really helped them get into this business? And what are the key factors that maybe helped you achieve that?
So one of the biggest things I always look out for, and it's just one, is I can be able to successfully reduce the acquisition cost of a customer. If they were spending 10x or 10 naira before to get 1 customer, if I've come in, work with this company, and I can reduce it from 10 to say 1 or 0.5, then I've hit a point to say, yes, I'm glad I've changed this. It's time for us to scale. Because what that will mean is if the company was using 10 naira before and they have only 100 naira, they can only get 10 customers. But now, whatever strategy I've put in place, whatever hacks I've put in place has now reduced it to 1. Now they can still use the same 100 naira to now get 100 customers, as against using the 100 naira to get 10 customers that they were doing before I joined. So for me, it's always, how can I drastically reduce the cost of acquisition for these customers so that I can scale? I won't just come in and say, I want to just start increasing your number of users, because if it's still at the same acquisition costs before I join, what would just mean is I have to start spending more money to acquire more people. But I want to still use the same amount of money or even lesser to acquire people at the end of the day. So for me, that would be the changing point. It's not rocket science. It's simply reduce the acquisition cost so that I can help this company eventually get more customers.
Right. Quickly, let's go back to the discussion before. In Nigeria, you were kind of traveling a lot, attending conferences and so many other things. And here in the UK, like you said, you were stuck in a 9 to 5. I normally tell people sometimes, are we not just kind of living a great potential in our continent and coming back here? So it's like, they do their thing by collecting the brands. They want the brands here. So sometimes, do you feel like you could have been more successful back home?
Would I be more successful? Again, it's a two-way thing, right? Would I be big? My name, yes, getting known, getting invited for big conferences, both globally, have my plane tickets paid for, hotel tickets paid for to travel here and speak and inspire people. Yes. But would it be as financially rewarding as it is now? Maybe in the long run. That's the thing. Maybe in the long run. Back in the continent or back home in Nigeria, before people really pay for value, it takes a lot of time. Yes, they understand how much of a value you are, but sometimes you see them wanting to argue the back and forth with you, trying to connive or trying to cajole you into believing that there's no money. Please just help us do this. A lot of trying to do things on a freebie basis. And sometimes you just have to do it because of the relationship you're building and all of that. So I would define success of, yes, impact, all of that, yes, but the financial part of it, I don't think, maybe in the long run, if I stay 10, 20 years, then maybe I'll now be as big as the EEs and the Paystar guys. But now, I'm not the whole popular, I'm not the whole big impacting. The financial part of it is properly comfortable.
Okay.
I can take care of my family. If I want to go on any holiday now, I can decide to, take a weekend and travel to another country for a short holiday just to rest. Financially, it's more rewarding. And does that mean I'm going to leave the impact away? No. And one of the things I've told my company is, yes, beyond the 9 to 5, I have the opportunity to do what I want to do. My weekends, my past 5 p.m., I want to still have impact. And I've started doing back again. Just beginning of this week or last week, I got reached out from the international IFM, one of the biggest funding managers in the world, to come and mentor their startups. I also got reached out to by one of the biggest education platforms in the UK, Neo Group, to also come in as well to look at their businesses and their founders. So I'm now beginning to open myself more to these things. In fact, I'm supposed to be in South Africa by next week. What I'm just waiting for is my visa. If it comes out early enough, it's also for a conference back in South Africa for the weekend, next weekend. So I'm beginning to open myself more to this.
Okay.
But I'm now doing this more on a comfortable basis. I'm not doing it because it's going to bring food to my table. It's going to foot my bills. Something else is footing my bills. Now I can focus more on impacting people and doing it happily.
Okay. We're running out of time. In 1 minute, what are the key difference? Like what strike out when working with startups in Nigeria and here in the UK?
Simple. The guys here are properly backed and funded. So they don't have to worry about money. They don't have to worry about finances. Back home, you might have the brilliant ideas, but it's not easy trying to get the funds to pull it, right? So here, the guys here are properly funded. They have institutions, even their universities back a lot of them. Some of them, when I even hear their ideas, I'm like, this idea doesn't make sense. If you're building this one in Africa, nobody will be a customer. But you see these guys are raising thousands and millions of dollars because institutions are backing them. So I'll say, yes, that's one of the key difference I've seen from here and there. But one thing I know is no shades to any of the founders in the UK or in any of this first world country, but Nigerian founders are much more passionate and energetic about what we're building. That's a fact for me.
Nice. In 1 minute as well, how can you advise your 18 years old self moving from that Port Harcourt to Lagos? How can you advise yourself?
Start tech early. Forget the whole initiative or the whole mindset you had from Port Harcourt of wanting to go into oil and gas, or from oil and gas wanting to work with the telcos, the MTNs and co. Start tech early. If you have started tech early, maybe by now you'd be one of the biggest investors in Africa. You would probably be way more bigger than you are. So yes, that would be my feedback to my 18-year self. The growth and marketing thing you're doing, start it early enough and stay consistent at it.
Wow. I wish I have more time. I enjoy speaking with you. And yeah, maybe we'll do this some other time. This is a wealth of information and knowledge. Thank you so much. OluwaBunmi Balogun, a global talent design market leader, and yeah, a tech leader. Thank you. And yeah, we'll talk again some other time.
I'm very grateful for also being here. Thank you for inviting me as well. And very happy to do this again. My calendar is always open to share more things to people and give more feedback to people. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
This could be good for me. Lately I was feeling like I need a purpose. But when you talk to me, give me the impression that I won't scratch your surface. And I could walk for days, searching for your praise. Is it even there to find? Is there a chance for me to win your memories? Will I slowly lose my mind? Lost in your maze, stuck in your gaze. How can I get out? I'm out of time to make you mine. Baby, show me how.